President, please be seated. The court is now back in session. Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. Are you ready? Answer, yes, I am ready. Mr. Witness, are you ready? Answer, yes, I am. Thank you, President. Now the chamber gives the floor to the defense counsel for Nguyen Chia to put question to the witness. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Your Honor's Counsel. Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. I'm the International Counsel for Nguyen Chia, and I would like to ask you some questions this afternoon. And let me start by following up something you said almost 3.5 years ago in the before this chamber on the 11th December 2012. That is E1/151 at around 15:44 in the afternoon. You were asked questions about telegrams, and then you said the following, and I quote you. The situation at that time was very pressing, and we had to adhere to the instruction. At that time, there were enemies fighting with our forces along the border, and there were also warfare among different factions, different groups internally. That's why we had to adhere to the instruction. If I had to elaborate on the situation of enemies at the time, it would be very long running, because there were a lot of elements of enemies at that time. To my understanding, my personal understanding, the infiltrated enemies were the ones who did not fall in lines with the instruction of the organization, those who deviated from the instruction. So those people were no longer trusted by the organization, and they were no longer given any task to handle. And in addition, in certain circumstances, they would be detained as well. So that was only the differing views from the organization. And those people were considered infiltrated enemy. They were not the enemy, the Vietnamese enemy, who were fighting along the border. End of quote. That's a long quote, Mr. Witness, but do you recall having said that to the trial chamber in December 2012?
Yes, I can still recall that.
We have some more time now to discuss that matter. What did you exactly mean when you said at that time there were enemies fighting with our forces along the border? What can you tell us about the border clashes between, I presume, Vietnamese troops and troops of Democratic Cambodia? What do you recall?
I can recall the fighting with the Vietnamese soldiers.
What do you recall specifically? Do you remember any incidents? Do you remember any attacks? What is it that you specifically can remember?
I cannot remember in details. What I remember is that there were fightings.
And how was it that you knew that there was fighting going on along the border between troops of DK and Vietnamese troops?
I cannot get your question.
How did you know at the time that this fighting was going on between Vietnamese troops and DK troops? Who told you? What was your source of knowledge?
I heard gunshots continuously.
What else can you tell us?
I cannot remember anything else.
No problem. Let me see if I can refresh your memory a bit, Mr. Witness. This morning you were read by the prosecution an excerpt from a telegram which was sent by your father and directed to Office 870. That was document E3/877. You acknowledged the existence of that telegram and that your father indeed had sent it. I have one question about that telegram, and then I'll move to the next telegram. The telegram is signed by Chan. Your father is also called Ham and also called Lying. But do you know when he was using which name? Was he only using Chan when he signed telegrams? And was he referred to others only by Lying? Can you tell us a bit what the situation was with his names?
Initially, he had a name Lang, and later on he changed his name to Chang, and I don't know the reason behind the name change.
Did you ever hear him use Ham as a name as well?
He never used the name Ham.
Now let me go back to the telegram that I would like to ask you some questions about. That is E3/1030, English ERN 00324806, Khmer 00033312, French 006235150. Mr. Witness, this is a telegram sent to your father. It's dated the 20th June 1977, and it is signed or sent by Ta Sofia. And let me read a small excerpt from this telegram, and then I will ask you some questions about this telegram. To beloved and missed brother Chan, We would like to report about the situation of the 7 group as follows. 1. At our Plai, they intruded 20 meters into our land and cut bamboo. We attacked and killed and wounded a number of them on the 17th June 77. We continued to attack during the morning of 19 June 77, killing and wounding a number of them. There were more than 100 of them. As of now, they have not yet withdrawn. So we have developed more forces, and they have pushed 500 meters deeper into our territory. Number 2, the 7 group that attacked us at Pekchanda has now attacked.
President, there is no Khmer translation. President, Council Victor Kope, you can continue.
Number 2, Mr. Witness of this telegram says the 7 group that attacked us at Pekchanda has now attacked and entered Pu Chitra's village and Ton village and De village. There were 30 of them. Mr. Witness, have you been able to understand me reading excerpts from this telegram directed to your father?
I do not know about the content of that telegram.
Do you know anything about intrusions or attacks of Vietnamese troops into democratic Cambodia, the ones that are mentioned there? Does this somehow refresh your memory, maybe also in relation to other attacks?
I cannot get your question clearly.
Let me rephrase it. If you do not remember this particular incident, do you remember similar incidents of Vietnamese incursions into democratic Kampuchea territory?
What I remembered was that there was incursion by the Vietnamese soldiers into Cambodian territory.
Now, in this telegram, 2 times words are used, Group 7 or the 7 group, the attacking of Group 7. Do you know what 7 group meant? Who was 7 group that attacked the DK forces? Group 7 or the Sevens, or have you ever heard that term?
I never heard of that group.
The words Group 7 or 7, the Sevens is a word that often appears into in telegrams. Can you explain to us, if you are involved yourself in the decoding of telegrams, that you would not have heard of the words Group 7?
I never heard of that the name of that group.
To speed things up, let me finish Mr. Witness, by reading you an excerpt from testimony of a 920 Division soldier who testified before the chamber last week. And I will read it to you, and then I will ask you whether you agree with this statement or whether you don't agree with this statement. Mr. President, it's the transcript of the 31st of March 2016 at about 11:01. It's the civil party Sun Vut. Mr. Witness, I'm asking this civil party the following question. Would you agree with me that it were continuously the Vietnamese troops who were entering DK territory, trespassing DK territory, attacking DK territory? Was it the Vietnamese who most of the time started enemy activity? And the answer of this Division 920 soldier is as follows. Yes, it was the Vietnamese who did that, who entered our territory. For us, on the Cambodian side, we never encroached into the territory of Vietnam, and they did onto our territory. And they claimed that it was their territory, although the border, the demarcation, was along U Dak Dam stream, and it's straight through Toyorsan. But they claimed at one point that their territory extended 5 to 20 kilometers deep inside our territory. And that was the causes of the continuing clashes at the time. End of quote. My question, Mr. Civil Party, do you agree or disagree with what this Division 920 soldier told the trial chamber last week?
Yes, I agree. There was an incursion by the Vietnamese soldiers into Cambodian territory.
And do you agree what the civil party is saying, or at least is implying, that it was actually always the Vietnamese who started the aggression against DK?
No, I do not agree.
And why is that?
What I knew was that there were incursions. I did not know whether they had the intention to violate Cambodian territory or not.
I understand. Thank you, Mr. Witness. Now let me move on to the second part of your answer that you gave 3.5 years ago. You were not only talking about the external enemy, being Vietnam, you also talked about internal enemies. You spoke about different factions, and you spoke about different groups. Now, what exactly did you mean when you said, when you spoke about a different faction and different groups internally? What did you mean with that?
I cannot get your question.
At the beginning of my questions, I read to you an excerpt from your own testimony. You agreed with it. And in that testimony, you spoke about the external enemy, Vietnam, but you also spoke about internal enemy, And more specifically, you use the words different faction and different groups internally. Now, what did you mean with the words different factions and different groups internally?
I did not say about different faction. What I said was about the internal enemy. Those who did not follow the instruction was accused of being internal enemy.
What about the people who were accused of collaborating with Vietnam? Were they seen as internal enemies?
No, they were called internal enemy.
I'm not quite sure whether something is going right with the translation, Mr. President. I get strange answers back, which seem to indicate that he doesn't understand the question.
Perhaps, Council, I obviously hear the same channel as you do. I agree with what you say. Given the problems we have, obviously, technically, very, very short questions,
Yes,
not endless reading.
Yes, I agree. Let me try it again, Mr. Witness. The internal enemy, was that the people that were collaborating with Vietnam?
It's not specific. Anyone who did not follow the instruction or follow the order, that person were accused of being internal enemy.
Let me try it differently. Have you heard of the Kampoon movement?
What did you say? I could not get your question clearly. Could you please repeat it?
Have you heard of a rebellion movement led by Kampoon, by a Division 920 soldier referred to as the Kampoon movement, the movement of Kampoon?
No, I never heard of that movement.
Do you know whether Kampoon, the person who allegedly killed your father, was accused of treason?
Initially, I was not aware of the reason behind the killing of him, but later on, I learned that yes, he was accused of being traitor and killed my father.
And what have you heard of the specific accusation in relation to Kampoon? Do you know what the specific accusation against Kampoon was?
They made an announcement and the interpreter cannot get the message from the witness clearly. President. Mr. Witness, could you please repeat your answer because we could not get your message clearly? Witness, what I answered was that after Kampun's death, and then they made an announcement that Kampun was a spy for Vietnamese.
And have you heard what he was accused of concretely? What was the accusation against him? What had he done specifically?
No.
Mr. President, I'm a bit worried about what's going on with the translation, and I also received a message that there's going to be a power cut at the hotel.
We don't know yet. We are currently on battery. They hope to restore the power, so please go ahead while the battery is doing its job.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mr. Witness, let me try it differently. Have you ever heard the accusation against Kampun and Svai and Kasi that they were feeding and helping Vietnamese military and bringing Vietnamese military into DK territory?
I heard that they had contacts with the Vietnamese. That was what I heard.
Do you have yourself any information about this? Did you ever speak to your father? Did he tell you anything about this?
No, he did not.
Let me read to you and see if I can jog your memory from document E3/7960, English ERN 00450295, French 0073899, Khmer 00851666 and 65. This is a Division 920 cadre, and he's talking about, as I said before, the Kampun movement. They buried guns in a warehouse, and Kampun brought Vietnamese troops in through Svai. Svai being one of the district cadres. And he's saying the Vietnamese were secretly kept near the village. Your sister is also talking about those people feeding the Yun. Is this anything that sounds familiar to you, Mr. Witness?
President, please hold on, Mr. Witness. You can proceed now, International Deputy Co-Prosecutor.
Just a request. I thought I heard a second cite regarding his sister, and I'd just like the citation if I was correct in hearing that.
Of course, that is E3 44, English page 5, year N 00295163. I don't have a Khmer and French version right now, year N. Mr. Witness, what I just read to you, the activities of Kampun, of Svai, Kasi, bringing military in Vietnam in, feeding them, carrying guns and arms to warehouses. Is this something that your father ever told you?
Answer. I did not see that with my own eyes, but the announcement was made in regards what you said.
Let me now turn to Division 920. Do you have any knowledge of the operations of Division 920? Are you familiar with its structure? Are you familiar with where Division 920 soldiers are coming from?
I do not know the structure of that division.
Have you ever heard a total number of Division 920 soldiers who had been arrested? Did you ever hear a number of how many?
I do not know about that.
Do you know whether Division 920 was a former North Zone division together with Division 310 and 450?
I do not know the codes used for the division in the old zone. I know that Ta Chen and Ta Soy knew about the structure, and they were chief or deputy chiefs of some units. For structure of a different division, I do not know.
Do you know anything about the connection between Chin, the Division 920 commander, and Un, the Division 310 commander, and Sun, the Division 450 commander?
I do not know about that.
Have you ever heard that Chin, whom you knew well, was arrested at roughly the same time as Un and Sun?
I do not know that they were arrested altogether.
Have you ever heard that Un, Sun, and Chin were closely connected to Koitun?
Yes, I have heard of it.
And what is it that you heard of this? What is it that you know about this?
I do not know how closely they were related to one another. What I know is that at the time they were together.
Who were together? Koitun, Un, Sun, and Chin?
When I was young, they came to Mandolkiri in 1967 or 68, said the witness.
And just to be sure, with they, you mean Koitun, Un, Soon, and Chin?
You are right.
What about Ya? Was there a connection between Ya, Koitun, and Un, Sun, and Chin?
I do not know about that, but they used to know each other.
And if I ask you the question specifically in relation to Koitun and Ya, do you know anything about the relation between Koitun and Ya?
I do not know about that.
Have you ever heard of a person named Chan Chakrai?
Yes.
What is it that you know about Chan Chakrai?
I have heard of his name. I heard that he was one of the outstanding military commander. Kung Samon. My apology. Some bad smell in the room. For instance, perhaps the gas is leaking from somewhere. President, court officers, please work on the issue, the bad smell or the burning smell from something.
It's not me, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, do you know if Chan Chakrai was the commander of Division 170?
I heard the people say that. I myself have never known that individual. I have just heard of his name.
Do you know whether Chan Chakrai was originally from the north, just like Un, Sun, and Chin?
I have heard of their names, but I myself do not know their origin.
Just an observation. I'd ask that counsel proceed in the way that's been established, which is to ask an open question such as, do you know where Chan Chakrai is from? If he then indicates that he doesn't know, you can feed him with what information you might want to suggest and then provide a reference.
I agree, but I believe the answer is already no. He doesn't know. Mr. Witness, have you ever heard of involvement of Division 310, Division 450, and 920 in planned attacks on Pochettong Airport, Phnom Penh radio station, plans for coup d'etat against the government, any involvement of rebellion in the rebellion of these divisions? Have you ever heard anything of this?
No.
Have you ever heard the reason have you ever heard the reason as to why Chin was arrested?
The announcement was made. Some people that it had something to do with KGB or CIA agent or the Vietnamese network.
Have you ever heard of incidents of guns fired near the Fine Arts School, near the Royal Palace, early April 76, hand grenades being thrown? Have you heard anything of this?
No.
Is it fair to say, Mr. Witness, that you really do not know anything about any details in terms of security issues?
Mr. Witness, sorry, Mr. President.
President, please hold on, Mr. Witness. You have the floor first, International Deputy Co-Prosecutor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I object to the question. I think the witness has clearly provided fairly precise information already in both times he has testified, specifically relating to the security situation. So if counsel has additional specific questions he would like to ask about quote-unquote security-related matters, I think he should be allowed to do so. But to try to have the witness claim that he doesn't know something about which he's already provided evidence, I believe is untoward.
I understand the objection, but I'm just trying to elicit some information, some details, because on the one hand he seems to indicate that Nguyen Chi informed him, albeit in general terms, about the security situation. So I was wondering whether he actually knows anything. It seems, and that is the reason I was asking the question, he seems he doesn't really know anything.
I had the feeling you were basically trying to cut the corner. So perhaps it would satisfy the prosecution if the question is rephrased as follows. Do you have any additional information, additional to what you already said, about the security situation that doesn't qualify what he said so far? I don't know if this is where you were trying to go.
I was just trying to see the level of his understanding, the level of his knowledge. But I think I'm having to give up soon because he doesn't really know anything. Thank you, Mr. President. I have no further questions.
President, thank you. And the floor is now given to Khieu Samphan defense team to put questions to this witness. You have the floor now. Kong Samon. Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Mr. Witness. My name is Kong Samon. I am the national co-lawyer for Mr. Khieu Samphan. I have a very short questions. First of all, I want you to tell the court about the office of USAP or USAP office. While you were in sector 105, do you know what USAP office was?
លោកប្រធានប្រហែលជា
Kongsamon, Mr. President, perhaps the system or equipment over there is running out of battery. That's why no response. President, do you hear the question? Witness, I answered already, Mr. President. President, perhaps something wrong with your gadget or the headset, Council? Anyway, please reformulate your question, Kongsamon. Kongsamon, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, I am asking about Usapir's office. You made a mention that you came to know that office while you were in Sector 05. I want you to tell the court what kind of office it was while you were in Sector 105. Answer, that Usapir's office was the military's location or the location or the security center. Question, did you yourself go there? Answer, yes, I used to go there. Question, where exactly did you go? Mr. Witness, do you hear me? Witness, I did not hear you a while ago. Could you repeat your question? Lawyer, my question has something to do with the Usapir's office. And I want to ask you whether or not you used to go there. You told the court already that you went to that office, and my follow-up question was that where exactly did you go? Answer, I cannot recall the exact location where I arrived since the geographical area has changed since the time. But I recall that I go there. I recall that I went there within the compound of Phnom Kraul. Question, in a document, ERN in Khmer 0028 72 05, French 00 35 31 04, English 0029 0508. I would like to quote, did you ever go to visit that security center? Answer, I never went there, and that office was about 17 kilometers apart from K17. I want to seek your clarification. In the written record of your interview, you stated that you never went to that security center. Now you said you used to go there. Answer, in fact, I went past that security center. I did not go to work and stay in that security center. I walked past, or I traveled past that office. Lawyer, thank you. So it means that you never entered into the compound of that Usapir's office. Is that correct? Answer, I never went inside the office. Lawyer, thank you. In relation to Leng and Usapir, a while ago you stated that after the arrest of Usapir, Leng came to take place to be in charge of that office. How did you learn that Lane came to replace Usapia? What is the source of your knowledge? Can you clarify that point for the court? Answer: that was made in the announcement. Question: how was the announcement made, or what was it about? Answer: the announcement was made in a meeting rather.
បាទលោកអរគុណលោក
Lawyer: thank you. Could you specify for the court the roles and functions of Lane while you were in Sector 105? Answer: he was in charge of the security. Question: what about Usapia that you were talking about? Answer: he was the superior. In fact, after the removal of Usapia, Lane came to replace, and afterwards I do not know who came to replace. Lawyer: can you clarify this point for the court? You stated that the announcement was made in a meeting about the replacement. So who was the one who assigned Lane to replace Sophia? Answer: I do not know about that, but all I know is that the announcement was made that Lane had to replace Usapia. Question: who made the announcement? Answer: in fact, there was a meeting held and the announcement was made in that meeting about the replacement. Question: did you yourself participate in that meeting? Answer: everyone was invited to that meeting and the announcement was made known to everyone. The content of the meeting was about the instruction, also about those who were traitors and who came to replace whom. That is the example that I could recall. Lawyer: my question is about your participation in that meeting. Did you yourself participate in the meeting? Answer: yes, I was there listening to the announcement or to the discussion of the meeting. Question: can you tell the court why you were invited to that meeting where the appointment of people from the military was made? Answer: in fact, the meeting was not to appoint anyone to a specific position, but the meeting was to inform about the security matter and also about traitors. Kongsamon: thank you, Mr. Witness. Mr. President, I have no further questions. President: thank you, Mr. Pan Wan. The hearing of your testimony as a witness has now come to an end. Your testimony will contribute to the ascertainment of the truth. You may now be accused, and I wish you good luck, good health, and prosperity. The chamber is grateful as well to Sotirat, a staff member from WESU, who helped facilitate the proceeding to hear this witness via video link. You may also be accused. Now it is time for the adjournment. The hearing will be resumed on Monday, 18 April 2016 at 9 a.m. And on Monday, 18 April 2016, the chamber will start to hear civil parties and experts in relation to S21, specifically on on Monday 18 April 2016, after the Khmer New Year, the Chamber will start to hear a civil party 2TCCP 243. Please be informed and please be on time as scheduled. Security personnel are instructed to bring the two accused, Nuon Chien Kil Sompon, back to the ECCC's detention facility and have them returned into the courtroom on Monday 18 April 2016 before 9 a.m. The court is now adjourned.
សូមចេញក្រោកឈរ